to life. Inner circles here where voices thrive. Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come on, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. Inner Circle Podcast where
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Inner Circle Podcast. Today is Wednesday, August 12th. Man, summer is going by very, very fast. School is starting in Texas tomorrow. School is already opening in other places. And my kids, some kids will be starting school here pretty soon. But anyway, I'm your host, Abe Kamara, and tonight is our Business Wednesday, Business and Finance Wednesday, and the topic tonight is National Black Business Month. August is National Black Business Month, and tonight on the Inner Circle Podcast, we are celebrating Black businesses. I'm your host, Eb Kamara. I'm here with my co-host, Miss B. Miss B, welcome to the show.
Good evening, everyone. Interesting that you talk about school opening back up. So somebody's going back to school, but they're going back to school this month, even though school doesn't start until September 8th, going to college. So PSEO opens up this month, and I just can't believe that rolled off my mouth. So proud of baby girl. But this is all new for me, new and interesting stuff, right? So getting ahead of college, so smart. I don't tell her this to herself a lot, but my daughter has basically aced herself out of high school biology. So now she is taking college biology in the second level of college biology. So she'll be getting double credits. So just excited. She'll be going to PSEO classes, taking college classes.
Is she biology? Is she going to medical field or something?
She is a science major. She is going into the medical field. Looks like nursing, CRNA, which I didn't even know was a thing. So that's bigger than nurse practitioner. So yeah.
Okay, that's great. Congratulations to her, and congratulations to
all the kids that are going back to school. Yeah. all the high school kids that are, taking their academics serious and, pushing themselves by taking PSEO and helping their parents cover college before they even start.
If there will be college by the time they get there, AI doesn't take over.
According to my boy Zuckerberg, I know, right?
Well, he's
we're here about business and finance. I mean, this too is a part of our wealth building. So the idea that we're about to invest, who knows, 130K, and that's if no scholarships, nothing come through. We're praying for stuff to come through, but into a 4-year degree, which is actually way more than that. It's not even, because technically if she goes to something like Howard, we're talking 60 plus K a year. So, my God, college has gotten so expensive.
But Zuckerberg should not be a yardstick because he dropped out. He said that waste of time, drop out when an established Facebook, which is Meta now, and then today he's a multi-billionaire. So don't compare. He shouldn't be the one telling people not to go to college because he's not a good measurement or however way you want to frame that question.
And I agree because we need to put it into context. What was his background? And where did he drop out from? And oftentimes he's at an Ivy League. The connections you make at Ivy League can allow you to drop out from Harvard and become a billionaire, right? And so you have to think and put that into context as we want to exemplify that as a reason why you shouldn't, again, what's his name? Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard too. I think Steve Jobs dropped. So all of these folks are leaving Ivy League schools with some of them coming from pretty affluent backgrounds. Maybe their parents weren't billionaires, but pretty affluent backgrounds, they're coming from with their parents. 1, 2, the connections that they probably made attending an Ivy League school, right? Because that's one of the number one reasons. And I want to see if somebody can do a study. Is it the same experience as many of our African American kids are getting into Ivy League schools? Is it the same experience? Is it the same outcome that they're going to get from going to an Ivy League school? Do they end up in that high income job? Do they end up, making and creating that level of wealth because they have been able to have that opportunity to attend such that school, right? Did they capitalize on being in that space and networking strategically the way that a Zuckerberg and a Gates and a Steve Jobs would have?
Okay. Anyway, before we get into things, folks, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow X Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. But before we get into the topics, though, anyway, you can also put a comment in the chat or call our number 952-594-5154. But man, last night was a great night for all of the politicals, right? For all of for those who follow politics. And in Minnesota, it has turned out to be the year of the women. It's like governor, two women, the open US Senate seat, two women. What's going on with all you? I mean, you women, and you'll still be crying about playing. Is like, no, I don't want to go there, but but anyway, Minnesota has created the year of the woman. What's going on with that?
Because this is this state gets it. This state knows who is really carrying the state. This state knows who is the true backbone of the state, right? When we have our lieutenant governor killing it, I mean, Angie was so far behind, she didn't even exist in the race, unfortunately.
Yeah. Anyway, congratulations to Peggy Fennington. Peggy Fennington, your lieutenant governor.
Yes.
On the Democratic side, congratulations to Michelle Tafoya, girl. On the Republican side, Jordan girl. It's gonna be
tough. Everybody is.
I think Michelle is gonna be Peggy, man.
That's what everybody is saying.
Peggy needs to overcome that fraud thing, and she can. I think she helped. She helped Tim Walz to perpetuate fraud in the state, so she can overcome that. My girl Michelle is gonna kill that thing. And then on the Democratic, on the governor's side, man, Klobuchar, against Dement. That's gonna be another battle right there, But
did he primary? Did the Republican guy primary for governor, or was he the only one?
So there were 4 Republican vying for the nomination, right? And then Mike Linder was endorsed by our president, Trump. And then there was Quende Quills, the black dude who was actually the Republican Party was behind him, but you know how it is. And then there was another person. So 4. So it was a very, very competitive primary. By the end of the day, Lisa Damon, the current Speaker of the Minnesota House of Representatives, came out on top. I actually wanted her to do that, but the only thing, I actually wanted her to be, the person going against Amy, because Amy is not a small potato, right? She has won.
No. And you got to look at the votes, and this is where I say Minnesota people often not necessarily just vote cross party lines. They will sometimes cross those lines and vote on against their party based on the person, right? And so this could be, in order for Lisa to beat Amy, you would need some of those Democratic votes to come their way. And mind you, primary, you can't vote across party lines, but in the general election, you can.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see. You're right.
Anyway, and let me give a shout out to my man Peterson, man. As we were yesterday, I was stuck at a funeral and we were doing a thing with the election, and Peterson held it down. He was going he was solo, doing live election result, and he was on air when they announced Amy as the winner. So kudos to man. It's not easy It's not easy doing a solo show on the Inner Circle podcast, but the man had his own, right? And he did well.
And so, I look at numbers. Numbers is important. When you think about, somebody might say, well, Lisa only got 179 votes in the primary and Amy got 614 votes. So we're sure that Amy's going to win. But you have to think, okay, the party felt like they had pretty good candidates across the board because the margins, they're not like the widest. Lisa.
On the Republican side, it was very, very competitive. You have Mike Glenn there.
Exactly. So just imagine now when they have only that one person. And then what another thing is, not many people show up to vote in the primaries. And so I wouldn't say this is a landslide for Amy Klobuchar yet, folks. You never know what can happen in the general elections.
The Secretary of State reported today that this was the highest turnout in a primary election in Minnesota history, 1.1 million voters.
Wow. And we don't play in this state.
And all you guys on the Democratic side, 700,000. So you guys are already energized, but I know
we don't play.
We are still going to pull it off, though. I think Michelle's going to pull it off. Damon is Lisa's going to Damon is going to pull it off. And things like it's going to be competitive.
I think this is Klobuchar's road to presidency.
Now you guys like to jump the gun. You know what I mean? You got
And when she gets to there, I hope
that's the reason why she came back. Is that the reason why she came back, right? From senator to governor. Okay, we shall see. We shall see. But anyway, congratulations to all the candidates. The other thing too, I want to throw in here, right? All of our minority candidates, right? Congratulations to those that won. Congratulations to a huge supporter of the Inner Cycle podcast and Inner Cycle, Huda Hisley, my girl, Huda Hisley. She pulled it off.
Representative
Huda Hisley, so, she's going to win that thing again. General election, once you can win a Democratic primary in that kind of a blue era.
Oh, yeah. Look at him, that kind of a blue area.
It is a blue era. So, but, sadly, the end of our Liberian candidates.
No, but I want to say none of the Liberian candidates won. A lot of them was running for the first time.
Everywhere, because it was not only. I know folks are focusing on Broken Park, but
no, I didn't even know somebody was running in Roseville. But none of the candidates won. However, we had a record number of candidates running for seats this year, more than ever, and so we have to. That is a momentum that we have to latch onto and just be strategic for 2028. I encourage all the folks that ran in this midterm to come back in the general elections. The problem
with them. What's about, before I go there, what's about city council? Did my girl Bernice?
Her race, she doesn't have a primary.
Got it. So she's
going
straight to general.
She's going straight to the general elections in November.
Okay, then she's gonna get that thing. She's gonna get it.
Oh yeah, she's a shoo-in.
But I think the problem with your Liberian candidates, right? First, I don't know. I mean, not only Liberian candidate, but all these immigrant candidates, like the only party like to run on is like Democrat. If I was Nehemiah, okay, I should have gone as a Republican and give what her name, Susan Farr, or run for her money, because you are going to put. If Nehemiah go to the general, I can assure you he was going to do something in this primary where a lot of people don't
show up.
People don't show up.
I mean,
attention like that. So if I were him, if I'm going to do this in 2028, go as a Republican. That's what I'm saying. Come to our party, man. Come join the party, Nehemiah.
You're right. Strategically, that would have been a good idea. But here's the thing. There's a lot of things that the Republican Party stands for that, he as a person may not stand for, right? And it's unfortunate because when you run for the Republican Party, you take everything that comes with that, being that candidate.
There are a lot of things that Democrats stand for as a minority, especially as an African immigrant. Running as a Democrat, man, I can point out to so many things that doesn't align with your values.
And I agree. That's what I'm saying. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate you can't run for a party and say, hey, I agree with some things and not all things, right? People are going to say you have to take what comes with it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? And there are a lot of things on the Republican side as African immigrants, minorities, BIPOCs that we don't support. And
Yeah,
so we know
I would tell you
the
though,
minority community is a Democrat community. That's that
and I would tell you, and that's a mistake. That's a mistake. There are more things on the Democrat side that I can just list. There are so many things that a lot of minority candidates don't agree with. Okay, like you talk about trans, talk about LBG, you know what I mean? There's so many of it. A lot of these candidates
we're
don't,
not even going to get into that. So
honestly, they don't
but then
agree
that's the
with
thing,
it,
right? You can
but
say
they align themselves with
there
parties that they support all those kind of stuff.
there are some people on both sides, Republican and Democrat, who are like, recently I heard like, okay, you're not Christian enough on the Democrat side, so you're going to lose our votes, right? That is a thing, right? And you have Republicans who feel like they're very Christian, they're a Christian party, right? And so both parties have similar views on certain things, right? But unfortunately, like I said, at the end of the day, when you run under a certain party, you have to take everything that comes with that party, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
And a
And
lot of
but this is what makes Nehemiah such a great candidate, right? Because here it is, both sides of the aisles resonate with him. And that's a phenomenon, right? That's a phenomenon. And it's because of that why I encourage him to run again. Because when you already can have both sides of the aisle seeing and respecting your leadership and say, you know what, that's somebody I can work with. And because he's somebody can work with, even though he's on the Democratic side, I do want to see him in office. And that's what we heard in his campaign.
if he runs again, let him be let's say, run as a Republican and give Susan Farr a run for her money. I'm just saying. She's an incumbent. I mean, there's no way the party is going to sit there for her to lose the primary. So if you actually want to defeat her, run as a Republican and get her out of.
And that's what it took. I mean, the party really came out strong to support her campaign. But that just says a lot about you as a first time running candidate. Even the numbers he got, right? He got more votes than prior candidates who have ran before and have the name recognition, right? He got more votes. He got enough votes. If he was running for a city council seat, he was most likely going to primary and move forward to the general election. So that's how well he did. And I want him to see his wins and own it. And so back to the fact that we had all these Liberian people running for office and nobody won their seats, it was still a historical moment. For the first time ever, we have so many people running for office. That just shows a lot of people want to step to the plate. A lot of people want to volunteer themselves, because these are volunteer roles people. And the people that go above and beyond to prevent these people from getting into office, you need to check yourself. This is a voluntary role. These people are already putting their economic impact on the line, their family on the line. These are non-paying seats or very low paying seats, right? A house seat, $45K a year.
Yeah, but it come with influence. It come with influence. Politics in America come with so many benefits.
We understand that it comes with the influence, but there are so many people. You still have to do the work when you get there.
Yeah, you got to do the work.
There's so many elected officials that do nothing, that just sit there and collect that 45K, have not been influential, has not created relationships, and do no work, right? And then so that's why it's so important that the candidates that are running, that I've seen, that have gotten the bad shtick from their community, are folks that are doing the work, that are hardworking, are already building the relationships before they can get there. And that means they're going to get stuff done when they are there.
Okay, first of all, let me just check you there. Right? American Party is not about your base salary. So many benefits. Okay.
That's what I said.
So many benefits behind that thing. Other than that,
because of that, people run for the seat. I agree.
So don't let your people see.
But not everybody's going to go there and leverage it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, come on. Who goes into politics without leveraging everything?
May some people rest in peace. I don't want to badmouth prior.
Politicians, number one, they are all corrupt. I would say that. They are all just
not everybody are able to, I don't want to talk about people, but I know some people that are broke.
Yeah.
There are people that are holding on
Yeah,
to these
it
seats
means
because this is the only source of income they have,
they are not
and
leveraging the benefits that
they
come with
have not. And that's the type of people I say they're not people who are going to move the needle. They're taking up space, and therefore they need to be moved. Let's put people there who, regardless of the salary, are going to go there, build the relationship, and do the work. Being a politician is hard work. It's not just showing up on election day and winning an election. When you get there, you have to make time. You got to have the time to have these different one-on-ones, having coffee, talking to your fellow allies, creating those relationships, figuring out what are the policies that you want to write, what are the policies that you want to pass, what are the bills that you want to do. You have to create your team, right? A team that is not even well paid, right? So it's all of those things that take that hard work that some people just get there. They don't even care who their aide is. They don't even care to continue to have communication with their constituents. They don't do the work. They don't ever write any bills. They're co-authoring things, co-authoring everything, and never write any bills, and nothing ever passed and gets done. So they're just taking up the seat and doing no work.
Oh yeah, what are they doing work on that? They're getting a lot of benefits. The thing about politicians, right? And that's my think about them. They when they want your vote, they will tell you all of the sweet things, the way make time for every platform, make time for every forum. But once they get there, it's like they no longer have the time. Politicians all over the world, right? Is that because that's how it is. It's power. It's power. But anyway, congratulations to all those that won. Congratulations to all the candidates. Congratulations to all the female candidates, right? Minnesota, as I said, year of the woman. Hopefully, we're going to be hearing a lot from now to November. So congratulations to Michelle, to Dimond, to Klobuchar, and to Peggy, and to my
And to my girl Ilhan, Representative Huda Hillsley.
Is someone ever going to be Ilhan Omar?
No, she's going to handpick her predecessor. That's what's going to happen.
We got to make sure we keep investigating.
The prior person she took that seat from, mind you, Abraham sat there for 44 years.
No.
44 years.
No, she took it from, maybe it was it's Keith Ellison you're talking about, who took it from that person. And then she took it from Keith.
No, she didn't.
She
no,
did.
No, the prior. No.
I'm telling you, Keith resigned to run for Attorney General. Don't argue that.
No.
Okay.
That was not the district he was. They're two separate districts.
No, that was a district. He resigned. He said he wasn't running for Congress anymore. And then he went.
No.
You have Google,
Minnesota,
right? You have Google,
District 5.
Or you have
congressional.
Who did Ilhan Omar
leader? I'm trying to Google it. It was another female.
No, it wasn't. It was Keith. Keith was the one that was there, and he decided not to run. He decided to run for Attorney General to come and encourage fraud here in Minnesota.
Okay, so yeah, Keith took it from the person, Martin. Okay, yeah, Martin Sabo was there from 1979 to January 2007, and Ellison won it in 2007 and left 2019 to become the Attorney General. Which sometimes Attorney General makes more money.
Yeah, and then he encouraged fraud. So I think we need to get him out of there. We need to get him.
Not responsible for the fraud.
Yes.
He does not encourage fraud. He has to do the investigation of the fraud. And there's not fraud that he investigated.
No, he's on tape, right? He's on tape. He's on tape. We don't feed him my starving folks, right? He's on tape.
He's on tape with them doing what?
Hey.
You see, y'all like to pass scandal around. Exactly.
Okay. Anyway, but again,
better be lucky you never got caught leaning against their car. They would have been coming to your house too to question you.
Okay, it's National Black Business Month. But anyway, again, congratulations to all the candidates. Last night was a great one. If you voted, I hope people, they fight at 1.1 million.
Did you vote?
Yeah, I did. I voted for my girl Michelle and Dimond.
I did not vote.
You should. I think
I got too many addresses. I don't want to get caught up.
Oh, since you moved to your new address, you haven't changed it yet? Okay.
Just leave my voting alone. I'm not playing with this administration.
Okay. Anyway, 1.1 people voted as a record. Hope,
Congratulations to us in having those numbers. I
hope,
think we have the largest voter turnout here in the state of Minnesota.
hope comes November, more people can participate, right? It's necessary. Exercise your civic duty, right? And the last thing I would say about the Liberian candidates, I think they need to. I think we need to put up good candidates, and they need to like decide which party to run on. Right? Not everybody should go with these Democrats. I'm telling you, man. But anyway, congratulations to everyone. Now to National Black Business Month, celebrating Black businesses. So August is National Black Business Month, and we're already August 12th. Miss B, you in that space. What does this month mean to you as a small business, as a business owner, a small business person?
Man, this means a lot. So what preempts us into Black Business Month is Minneapolis is Black Business Week in the city of Minneapolis, which is basically from July 27th to Sunday, August 2nd. In
A week or so ago.
a week or so ago. So yeah, which is their 6th annual Black Business Week. There's a lot of Black businesses, Black leaders, Black institutions, organizations in the city of Minneapolis, right? And one of the stories that I kind of want to highlight is the fact that Sammy's Avenue Eatery, the owner Sammy himself, he passed away. I think now two, maybe 3 years ago, and his business is still there, right? So his employees were able to take over the business when he passed away. So it's just a testament to the strength of the Black business community and our businesses' strengths, their ability to stay and grow. So I want to shout out to Sammy's Avenue Eater. I'm going to shout out to a lot of different businesses tonight on the show, and just say that is why Black Business Week in Minneapolis, leading into Black Business Month, is so important.
Okay. And first of all, let's just give some context or maybe some historical background, right? Why does Black Business Month exist? Was in 2004, right? In 2004, Frederick E. Jordan and John William Templeton, established, decided like August should be Black Business Month. And the reason they did it, I think it's something I'm passionate about, and we have discussed it so many times on this platform, on the Inner Circle podcast. It's like access to capital, right? Businesses do not, it's like they find it difficult to have access to capital. You have other people like, they will have access to the bank now in the banks, but venture capital money, they have a lot of seed money. It's like, their family, generational wealth or, wherever, right? Other ethnicity can tap into that. When it comes to Black businessmen, access to capital is a huge thing. Number one, we are all pretty much, born in deficit, so we don't have that generational wealth. Every Black person, except for a few, is born in a deficit. So when you try to establish a business, you are starting from a place of deficit, right? So they established this month, right, is like to kind of pretty much real awareness about access to capital for Black businesses. So access to capital was at the center of the creation of this month. So which is very, very much important. And that is something like, people would say, oh yeah, become an entrepreneur, get a business. But most of the time, like you have Black people or people, folks would take their savings, take the risks with it, establish a business, and then try to either expand it or grow it. I mean, for them to get access to capital is hard. It's very, very much hard.
Yeah, I mean, while we're on the data aspect of things in the conversation, there are over 3 million Black businesses in America. And so, but within that 3 million still, unfortunately, there's only 194,500 employer firms. And what the difference is there are sole proprietorships, and then what you consider employer firms is if you have paid employees, right? And that's the difference between our businesses. So we still have a lot of sole proprietorships. And, I think before one time I said the data was like 92% of the Black owned businesses in this country are sole proprietorships. And that's why capital is something that we can record statistically and say we don't have access to, because being a sole proprietorship, you're not going to have access to capital. Oftentimes a bank is going to provide lending to a business that is profitable, and it has to be a business that is more than just the owner. And so I think we have more than just the owner, because there's no way that one person can just,
So
not a lot of these
do
sole
you
proprietors
think?
is just one person.
So do you think then we are the ones, or maybe that the problem is? I mean, the problem is us rather than maybe like them blaming the bank, or maybe blaming like or blaming venture capital firms of not trusting us to give us the money, right? Because it's my one. I'm alone, have my sole proprietorship. The bank has to check my personal credit. I can't, I can't use the business because the business is me. So it's like, me and the business and I are tied together. So they will have, the bank will have to evaluate my credit. And if my credit is not stellar, they're gonna say, you know what? Nah, thank you, but no thanks.
So yeah, both things are true. That on one end we are our own problem, and then on the other end too, the system is not used to recognizing the success of our type of business. So even though more and more of us are looking successful in this 2026, because of that history of not recognizing us as businesses that are beyond a sole proprietor, or businesses that thrive and show net profits, we continue to get the low end of the capital that is in the market to go out to businesses. So we have to change the way we look. We have to look different. And still we need to advocate for ourselves on how we look matters, and what we bring to the economy matters, because 211 billion in annual revenue, and we employ more than 1.6 million people. Those are huge numbers. Those are not small numbers.
Yeah, yeah. Why you think, no, but let me just stick to the capital thing. Why you think access to capital has just remained so consistent problem in the black business community, right? It's just every time you bring up a conversation about black business, the access to capital thing always pop up. Whether it's like no matter where you're from, whether you are native to this country as a black person establishing a business, or immigrant business, it's just the access to capital thing is just a persistent issue. Why can't we, again, it's something we have discussed here on this platform, like maybe form our own capital ecosystem to help each other?
I mean, that's good. A lot of folks are doing that. That's some of the solutions people are proposing, because it's the way we come into the market. It's our access, it's our entrance into the market, right? The way we package ourselves to enter into the market. That's why when you think about the continent and that market, what a market means culturally in Africa versus in America, right? We really, we really operate on that small scale of a market seller. You get up in the morning, whatever goods you have that day, you go to the market, you sell it, whatever money you make, you bring it home, you do what you take care of the expenses, and you go back and hope for and pray for the same day. And so, white Americans were functioning in that same market, but they grew the market outside of that, right? When you think about stock markets opening in the banking systems, right? Those systems grew without us interacting in it. And the disadvantage of us not interacting in it is what has continued to have that gap for us to be able to access the capital that the market has, right? And so I think white Americans from the gate, when they are looking to start a business, the first thing they're going to figure out is, what is my plan to be able to access the capital? Whereas we say, I'm just going to open this business regardless of the capital or not, right? And we're already setting ourselves up for failure, or you're setting yourself up to continue to just be operating outside of the market, and be in a non-traditional market, which a lot of our businesses still continue to do. And not to say there is not success in it, but it's not that enough of that recognizable success to have better numbers than what we're talking about tonight.
Because I mean, once you start from that point, without a plan, without a growth plan, without a marketing plan, without um, your revenue plan or whatever plan, it's like you're not really seeing even into today, let alone in the future, right? Because you don't know, holistically, you don't know what the business is. Or you know you have a business. So is that what then let me push on that? Is that the biggest challenge? So what's the biggest challenge for a black business? Is it starting a business or keeping one alive long enough to scale?
What was that? What? Keep what?
What is the hardest thing?
The
Establishing
hardest, the
starting a
hardest,
business or keeping it alive enough, long enough to scale?
the hardest thing is staying in business.
Staying business for black business.
Stay in business because whether you're a black business, white business, just for a business period, they said making it past year one is the hardest thing.
Yeah,
So
but
when you
I mean, we know that statistics though, but when it comes to a black business particular, right, as we celebrate black,
then therefore it's twice as hard. It's twice as hard. Again, not because of the race thing, but just because that we don't typically traditionally play in the market the way it's supposed to be. We don't enter the market the way it's supposed to be. We don't operate in the market the way that we're supposed to be operating in the market. And therefore that continues to keep us at a deficit. We don't even know how to continue to evaluate our business to know how to scale it, right? We're
mm,
not doing the evaluations. You're not comparing last year's numbers, previous numbers to
like
today's numbers, right? Every year you need to compare your numbers to say, oh, I can project that I'm going to grow because compared to my last year's numbers, this is what I did. I can project this is what I'm going to do next year.
every
And
every quarter, a month over month.
exactly. And
Mm,
for nonprofits, you set your budget in August, right? You
mm,
start setting your 2027 budget. You start setting your budget in August, right?
mm,
Because you should know for the next 2 years what you have. Because we're always fundraising for every 2 years,
mm,
right? We
mm.
get 2 years worth of funding, and so businesses are not doing this, and that is our biggest hurdle, folks. There's living in the business and then there's building the business. We tend to live in the business and we don't build the business.
That's a good one. Folks, tonight we are discussing National Black Business Month, celebrating black businesses. August is Black Business Month. And while we are celebrating, we are just talking about the challenges black business face. Obviously, where congratulations, kudos to everyone who have taken the leap to establish a business, whether a solo entrepreneur, whether whatever you are doing, man, to keep that hustle alive, whether you are still doing your 9 to 5 and still doing your side hustle. Kudos to you, right? It's Black Business Month celebrating all the black businesses out there, right? It's like all these entrepreneurs out there. But we're also highlighting why is it difficult for us to scale? Why is it difficult for us to stay in business? And then access to capital. Because the reason why this month came about, the two founders realized, it's easy to establish a business, but when it comes to black businesses, access to capital has always been a challenge. And they just want to raise the awareness. So you can contribute, put a comment in the chat or call our number 952-594-5154. But let's look at black businesses though, right? I mean, you raise a great point, like living in a business, versus um
Building.
building a business. So then, are we producing businesses, or are we just like producing employ, or maybe on the other end, right? Are we like, what's the intent when someone like when a black person establishes a business? Is it like to create generational wealth? Because that's what white people, to me, that's what like Caucasian do, right? When they establish a business, it's not like I'm just going to establish that business and then like be in it until I die, and then once I die, the business die with me, or maybe I stay in it if it doesn't survive, that's it. But you see a lot of Caucasian businesses, whether it's two-person or one-person, they're trying to build it like, like they're trying to create that generational wealth mindset from the get-go. So sometimes you will even see them get their family involved, right? Their kids will start working in the business early, you know what I mean, and things like that, expose them to the business. As black people, though, we don't really do all of those things.
No, and so, this is Black Business Month, and so we want to highlight, some of the great things. Again, over 3 million business, total Black owned businesses in America. We generate over 211 billion in annual revenue and employ more than 1.6 million workers.
Mm,
And those numbers could be better because what happens now is Are we recognizing the ones that are being successful? Out of 194,500 of them, 194,500 of these businesses are employer firms. However, what constitutes you as an employer firm, that means you have at least one paid employee. So again, the data is most likely being pulled from some surveys and tax documents, right? Those are the real things that help this to build this data. And when you file your taxes, you're going to show, do you have employers, right? On your taxes, it will show that because you have the wages and so on and so forth. And so I say that to say are we supporting the ones who are successful, right? Not everybody is going to be successful, and you're constitute a business as long as you register your business and you can report, and we can report some income, you constitute a business, right? Not everybody's a business. Like you said, a side hustle constitutes as business because they're registered, maybe they're reporting income. But how are we helping the 194,500 employer firms who have paid employees and have millions of dollars?
What do you mean how are we helping? Say more.
Is the market supporting them to grow and scale? Because
Which
ultimately,
which market?
the market out there, this economy, the market where people go and shop for capital.
Okay, consumer market. Okay.
Yeah, where people go and shop for capital. No, not necessarily the market as far as selling to your consumers, but the market where you go as a business owner, as a business, to figure out what are the capital that is out there that you can have access to, right? Businesses have different shapes and sizes and forms and look differently. So capital will look differently, right? Depending on that business, right? Do we have enough out there that are supporting these businesses who are not just a sole proprietor business, but they are considered an employer firm type businesses? Because then those numbers could look different. I think if the small amount of employer firms could get access to the marketing, the operations, all the technical assistance, right, that would be able to help them to scale accordingly, that 211 billion annually could easily look like 600 billion, right? And so when we talk about Black Business Month, this is why we want to give that spotlight, why we want to pay that attention to these type of businesses in that month, is like, how do we double that amount that is employer firms? How we transition some of these 3 million or 2 million businesses to become more employer firms.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it, right? I said right, something you have to go under the hood of the number that you are, quoting here tonight, right? So 200 billion annually in generating for Black businesses, 3 million Black-owned businesses. But here's the thing, right? I think you raised a great point earlier. Opening up business is one thing, right? Building a business that employs 50 people, right? Like you own your own building, right? Maybe like, okay, you funded the business, but then like you survive, like the business survived the fund, the business still going, right? Do we have enough of that though? Right? Is if we actually want to grow that 200 billion annually, do we have Black-owned businesses that like employ maybe like 100, 50 people, right? 100 people, you know what I mean? Things like that, own your own building, maybe like in our community right now, own backyard, what else our market could be a good example, right? Do they own that building? Maybe like Christina, what is that? Is that a daycare?
Yeah, fortunately, all the folks you're mentioning do own their property.
Those are the things, right? Folks like, and I'm like, what else our market? I don't know how many people they employ, but folks like that, right? Now you start building credibility.
I'm sure he has over 15 employees, good solid employees, between the food and the grocery store.
But doesn't he have? Don't they have a warehouse?
Yes, exactly, right. And so I'm sure he has probably good 15 solid business. That's a big business, right? 80 people, that's a big business. 50 people, that's a big business, right? The annual revenues is in the millions for businesses to have those amount of people, right? That's what you're talking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Then now, right, is like you start building credibility. I think funders, right, will start taking you serious. Say this guy or this dude or this girl mean business.
So that means for me, what that says is that you're a serious investor, and I can invest in you if I have money, right? And but what we don't want to happen is that that is the only business we're investing in, right? We want to be making sure that I just talked about 194,000 businesses across America,
Mm.
which is not a lot when you think about across the whole country, right?
Yeah.
When Minnesota, I think alone has about what 300 or whatever amount of small businesses, period, in the state of Minnesota. That's just Minnesota.
Hmm.
So if you think about the businesses in this country, we're still a very small amount compared to the number of businesses in this country. And so it's great when we can scale to the likelihood of Christina, where you're buying a building and building it, buying land and building a building. That's what Christina did, childcare. So, kudos to her. That's phenomenal. And then when you're somebody like Waterside, where you go from becoming a tenant in your building and only probably occupying maybe 1,500 square feet of that building as a tenant to now owning 6,000 square feet of space. So that's the level of scale that has happened in these two businesses that I'm talking about. And we want to see more of that. We want to see more in that. And I think the key to that is operations. Both of these businesses, without a doubt, I don't think they grew or scale without having their operations in order, having their numbers, doing their business evaluation, filing their taxes, right? Again, knowing their numbers, understanding their cash flows, pro formas, projections, all these things. There's no way they were able to scale to the level in which that they did without having those operational pieces in place. So I say for all the Black businesses that are successful, that continue to be doing it and being successful and continue to grow, these are the things that they're doing. I know for a fact these are the things that they're doing in order to be growing and scaling.
Okay. What's about the other thing where we're in like most of our businesses, most Black-owned businesses, are just so heavily concentrated in low capital industries.
So I had a conversation.
Business, like maybe like
You're onto something.
right
You're
now
onto
AI, right? The AI industry, right? How many like Black, and
there's not such thing as low capital industries, right? What
really?
happens is where your business is and the tax base is important, because when we talk about businesses coming to our market, they look at, when a business enter a market, they're looking at the rent ratios, right? They're looking at your tax base, they're looking at the income, they're looking at the education, right? So even if the income is not there, what is happening in the environment to change the income outlook for those residents? And ultimately businesses look at all those things to make those decisions before opening a business there. We could say that our business are tend to be in low income markets because they don't think about their business in that way. When they're looking to open their business, they're only thinking about the ethnicity, maybe the race of the people that are going to be their customers, right? And so sometimes that's why you will see our businesses are struggling. But we're supposed to be supporting each other. I read a couple years back, I read about when you think about racially concentrated areas of wealth, you will not see any social service type organizations. Racially concentrated areas of poverty, you continue to see a lot of social services type organizations. And that article or that piece was talking about, is social services good or bad for the Black community, right? And so there's arguments on both sides.
I say it's bad.
But if you're just looking at the numbers as a business and not thinking about any of those other pieces, that's what something I would push our businesses to think about. It's like where you open your business and start your business is important. So look at the demographics, look at the income, look at all these things that you need to pay attention to, and have that inform where you have your business, what type of business model you use, right? And if you go into business at all.
And the thing too is like when we are, we love to open businesses, as it says, sole proprietorship or whatever. But do we just follow like maybe the crowd? Do we really take risk, right? Because, like, I mean, the business I'm passionate about, if I ever have the resources, I mean, people would tell me, "Oh, it's too risky." I know it's too. It takes. I mean, the barrier to entry is too high. It's a bank. Okay, I just want to go there, right? It's like, because it's risky. The barrier to entry is high, but once you make it,
And it's not hard, right? So anybody, again, we talk about what is our number one thing we talk about every week on this show is coming together. Any bank that exists is a lot of money coming together to open a bank. That's what you need to do. It is a couple people. Sometimes it's a bunch of nuns. Historically started a credit union. Trying to remember what it is. And they brought their money. I mean, nuns make money, even though we see them at a convent or whatever. They're working there. They're getting paid. They make money, and they bring their little $5 together. When you have 20 people bring $5 together, you have a lot more money now, right? And so nuns have open banks. Opening a bank is not that hard. It's just saying a bunch of wealthy Black people can come together and open a bank. I think the largest Black bank just merged recently, right? Which now have a total assets of $1.27 billion, right? This is a Black owned bank. So the opening the bank is not your hard part. Opening the bank is finding people with a good amount of money who want to take their money and give loans, because ultimately to be a successful bank, it's about the loans. People opening accounts is important because that helps you to have more capital to lend against. But ultimately, when you open the bank, it's about getting those loans out there, having those loans coming back in to replenish the funds, and then you can get more loans, push more loans out there, right? Ultimately.
yeah.
And so then what happens is, as you've grown, you buy other banks, you gobble up other banks, and that continues to grow your bank. And then it grows your asset, the amount of money that you have to do more loans.
Where I'm going with that, like risky industry, maybe that's where I'm going with that conversation. Even
Yeah,
whether
okay.
there's a bank or IT, risky industries. We don't find Black-owned businesses in risky industry, right? And these are to me, like high risk, high reward.
You
AI, right?
don't find a lot, but there's not an industry that we're not in. There's not an industry we're not in that we're not thriving and being successful, but you won't see a lot.
Black-owned business. We're not talking about employment. We're not talking about being an employee, right? Is that you find us all over as a
We're
Black-owned.
in every industry. There's a Black owned business. I can guarantee you that in every industry has a Black successful business, which they are an employer type firm and not necessarily a sole proprietorship.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, here's the other angle, right? This month is Black Business Month. It's like, what should we be encouraging people to maybe like this month? Oh, buy black, uh, go visit a Black-owned business. Shop at a Black-owned business. Is that what this month should be about?
Definitely, not just Black people, everybody should be buying going to Black businesses. There's a
No,
whole Black state fair of vendors.
yeah, you talk about that. I mean, you talk about that on Monday on the show.
Yeah,
Where is that at?
it's at Midtown Global Market in Minneapolis off of Lake Street. It's going from August 9th to August 15th. So today's the 12th. You still got like 3 days left of the fair. So go and take advantage. Go and check out those businesses and support them and buy some stuff, folks. Eat
So,
some food.
do you intentionally like support a Black-owned business? Do
I
you?
do. I do. I'm intentional about that.
Mm. When was the last time you bought from a Black woman?
Oh my gosh. Last weekend, July 26th, I bought from a lot of businesses. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
My hairstylist is Black. Yeah.
We
I'm
have do we have
always
do we have a great number? I know, like, I mean, the visible ones, right? The ones that are whatever. But do we have, like, I'm all big into data, right? I think one of the things I suffer is data, or the lack of, right? Is like,
Mhm.
I mean, do we have a data of, like, maybe like if you look at Broken Park, how many Black-owned businesses, like, is it in the city of Broken Park, or like maybe like the northwest suburbs? Maybe the category of
Yeah.
businesses.
That data exists.
Mm.
Yeah, that's it. That data exists. You just got to look it up or call the city.
if those data exist, are we doing enough then? Like we're talking about supporting one another, right? If that is something, because data is one thing, but how we leveraging, right? As a community, how we leveraging those data. If I know, like, okay, maybe like Ashaba, um, Target, but there's a black owned business similar to Target. Maybe you know what? I should start going there now, right? It's like, do we have like if we have data on black owned business that are doing specific things, right? Are we leveraging those data? Are we making use of that data?
No, we don't have. I will say we don't have, and I can't really think of any Target like size
I'm not
business. So
just that
what?
was just something that was just something I just threw out there, right?
Okay, and so what we will do is, and again, there's technically when you go to the Minnesota Secretary of State, you don't say anything about your race when you're registering a business. So this data is has to be self-reported. A lot of it is being self-reported by the owner through some probably local survey or census or something, right?
They do ask about ownership though. You know, they
They
make
ask who the owner is, but they don't ask the race.
they do.
They don't.
They
They
do.
ask. They don't ask black. They ask, is
You
this
never ask
minority
them.
owned? They say, are you
Exactly. That's what
minority
I'm saying.
owned?
Yeah.
They say, are you women owned? Are you minority owned? So
Yeah.
maybe the minority owned could be where they're asking about the race. So it doesn't say
Exactly.
white or black. So you're right. They do say, are you minority owned? Are you women owned? Are you immigrant owned? Yes.
Yep. And then from there, I'm sure, as you said, right, once you establishing is the one thing, registering it, but once you become a full functioning business, and then you start actually like maybe like paying taxes or start paying your employees, from that data, from there they can actually know whether you're a black person or Asian or whatever, right? It's like through that they can know that.
Again, so that's why I'm saying the data has to come from so many different places and then gets aggregated because
Right.
minority owned can still be a white woman owns 51% of the business. That's considered a minority owned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, folks, tonight we are discussing National Black Business Month, celebrating Black businesses. August is National Black Business Month. So, congratulations to all the entrepreneurs, Black entrepreneurs out there. Congratulations, kudos to all the successful businesses out there. You know, if you just starting like 6 months ago, a year ago, you know, so long you are still in business, congratulations, kudos to you, man. Keep going. Don't give up. Keep going. It's not hard. It's not easy. It's hard, you know, because you are giving up the comfort or the security of a paycheck. And that's all you, right? It's like if you don't wake up in the morning, you're not gonna get paid. You can't call in sick. There's no call in sick doesn't exist, right? So but so yeah, so kudos to you for doing that, to all the black businesses. Any other black business you want to give you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of black business I want to give a shout out to.
Like,
Angelia's. It's a soul food African American female owned business. She has one location in Brooklyn Park, and she just opened a location in St. Paul. So want to give a shout out to her. Want to give a shout out to Taste of Africa restaurant in Brooklyn Center. Want to talk about Casa Afrique lounge and restaurant. So they're open Wednesday through Sunday, folks, and they do operate as a restaurant from 11 a.m. to about 4 or 5 p.m. and then they switch, you know, into the night lounge atmosphere as well. So on Mondays and Tuesday they're closed, but they're open to corporate events and retreats, conferences, meetings, all those things that people want to rent out the space on Mondays and Tuesdays. Again, go and check out Casa Afrique in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Who else is there? It's like there's a lot of businesses. There's a lot of businesses that Christina's childcare that we talked about earlier. Shout out to them. Waterside, because some people love to go and buy dinner from Waterside. From Waterside Market. Waterside is the holy grail for single Liberian men in this country.
that's not true. Single
Yes,
Librarian. I've never
to
eaten.
go and form the longest lines ever at Waterside. To be
I've never
ordering that 3, 4, 5 soup.
Okay. Okay. You see, here she is again attacking you like brand single man. Don't listen to her. Okay.
No, but shout out to Waterside. Waterside is doing exactly what his name is for Waterside. I mean, I like Waterside because it's really giving us that homegrown feel. People at any given time, you will see people sitting around out there just chatting it up, like chilling. Like Megan said, we're just chilling. That's what they can be doing out there. So, kudos to Waterside for being that staple place in the community for us.
And I would say, shout out to Jambo,
Oh
Africa.
yeah.
It's like they are the best Liberian owned nightclub. I mean, whether you got little folks going there, I tell people, right, wherever you got little kids going, that's where the party is. So
I want to be with the adults. I don't
that's what
necessarily want to be with the little
party
kids.
is. But shout out to Purple Rose as well, but
Oh yeah. Shout out to Purple Rose.
well, all I can say, man, Purple Rose changed the DJ, right? It's like get a good DJ, you know, and do some good promo. And then Meta, shout out to Meta, African Development Center, Lake Street Council, Street Council, Black businesses. I mean, shout out to all the Black businesses, right? Especially like any other Miss B as we
No, I want to share. Congratulations to Jumbo on their upcoming expansion. Right, it just got announced yesterday.
yeah, they're expanding.
Oh, they're expanding where Top Golf is. So Jumbo Africa Restaurant is approved for their new Brooklyn Center location. These are the schematics of the new plan. That looks fabulous. They will be opening
What is?
a Brooklyn Center restaurant and nightclub that is there will be Jumbo Africa will be building a 5,720 square foot restaurant, bar, and nightclub on parking lot space of 6,500 Camden Avenue, just north of Top Golf.
Where's that?
1601 free. So if you know Top Golf in Brooklyn Center,
Yeah, but Top Golf. No, there's no land over there. Is it a land?
There is. All that parking lot is not Top Golf. So Top Golf stops at where the thing is. So there's still that land there.
Oh, so they're going to be like behind a gas station, behind Speedway.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
Right. Yep.
That's not a big place.
No, they're building 5,700 square foot restaurant, bar, and nightclub, which will double the size of its current location.
Okay. Anyway, congratulations to them. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay. Congrats. I mean, as I said, it's the best club in the state. I mean, whether people like to say, why do you like to promote Jumbo so much? Because of the DJs, right? Because of the DJs and because of M&D guys, it's like that. They play good music, they do their thing, But anyway, congratulations to them. That's a good one. That's a good one. But oh man, great show. It's a 1 hour show. Great one. Black Business Month. But as we wrap up, Miss B, what do you want to leave our audience with tonight? Great show, though. I enjoy it.
Just get out there, go check out your Black businesses. They're downtown. They're all over Northtown Mall, Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center. Just get out there. Just Google Black businesses, Black business centers, Black business malls, Black businesses, Carmel Mall. Go get some henna this weekend. Just go check out some Black businesses, and please go to the Black State Fair.
Okay. Anyway, folks, again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Great conversation. Always important to highlight these kind of a conversation. It's Black Business Month. If you're an entrepreneur, currently a Black business doing your thing, like Jumbo with their expansion, upcoming expansion, right? That's what we want to see. Scaling, right? Building, don't just be in business for the sake of being in business. Try to scale, right? And because one of the things we should keep in mind, why if nobody's ever coming to save us? We got to save ourselves. We got to build generational wealth. We got to grow generational wealth, and things like that. I know, like after George Floyd, there are a lot of corporate commitments, right? They're going to help Black business. They're going to help Black people and do this, do that. But as you can see, DI has become a poison war. So, if no one's coming to save us, we gotta save ourselves. We gotta make sure, yeah, I agree, support one another, buy black, support black businesses, go into manufacturing, risky industry. It shouldn't just be retail, right? Or maybe entertainment. Let us diversify our investments, manufacturing, IT, whatever. Take that risk. If you're already working in IT and you're passionate about it, why not establish your IT company? That's the thing. Why leave something you're doing and then go establish like a retail or maybe like a food store or maybe like a hair store? I don't get it, but anyway, great show tonight, Miss B. We're gonna be back here talking about organization, right? It's like if you have a organization that's so dominant. I'm not gonna be specific. We're not gonna be specific too much. That's so dominant. How do you light some fire underneath that organization? To make it accountable to the community. So that's a conversation tomorrow. Folks, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Thank you and have a good night.
Past where hearts unite, sharing our truth.